Let me start off by saying this. I love fighting games. I've been playing them since I was a little kid. I've dedicated hours of my life to getting better at them. There's no other genre of games that I like more. It's cool just playing them and seeing all the different mechanics that different games have and how different developers will structure their games. So in this video, I'm going to go over 30 games. I'm actually going to go over 15 in this video, but this is only part 1. The second part will include the other 15. These two videos are going to explore fighting games and how they've evolved over the years. I'm not including some games because I don't think they add much to the video. These games include Street Fighter V, Tekken 7, all SNK fighters, and many others. All of the gameplay in this video is of me. I played through every one of these games. Also, the games in this video aren't featured in order of release date. I put them in an order that is meant to best show how they've evolved. So now that we got the introduction out of the way, let's play. The first game on my list is Street Fighter. This is considered the first real 2D fighting game. It popularized a new genre and started so many trends that almost all fighting games follow to this day. The main character is Ryu, and he doesn't like spiders. Finally, a relatable video game character. That being said, this game is garbage. It controls poorly and the inputs hardly register. It's interesting to play, but I would never play it for anything other than just for the experience itself. The only character you can play as is Ryu, unless you have a second player. If so, the first player is Ryu and the second player is Ken. The only difference between them is the way they look. Their moves are exactly the same in this one, unlike the later games. In this game, you fight against characters from various different countries, the main two being Japan and America, as they are the only ones you can choose between at the beginning of the game.
I will cleave you in twixt. Hey, hang on. I think I know how to take this guy down.
Hadouken! Brooklyn, but don't forget there are many goals that you all over the world.
The boss in this game is a character named Sagat. His biggest advantage is his legs. He can hit you with his knees repeatedly while your feet go straight through him. But other than that, he's about as difficult as everyone else.
Out of the best, you now then Street Fighter in the world.
The next game on my list is Street Fighter II Hyper Fighting. This game kicked my ass. I faced many Street Fighter characters, including Blanca, who's my favorite. Playing against him was pretty much what you'd expect. This game also lets you beat up cars, the best thing about Street Fighter. Of course, the last person I played against was M. Bison. Quick tip, I know that when you play Ryu, you're going to want to spam Hadouken. I'm not stopping you. In fact, I'm gonna help you get better at spamming. When using your Hadouken, make sure that you switch up which button you end it with. For a Hadouken, the more powerful the punch button you end it with, the faster it will travel across the screen. Check out this clip of me fighting Ken. When I switch up the speed of my Hadoukens, it makes it harder for him to dodge my attacks. Night Warriors is another Capcom fighting game. However, this one is from a series known as Darkstalkers. It's a bit obscure and rarely ever spoken about or mentioned. It's a fun game series, and it has a lot of interesting features that set it apart from Street Fighter. Big difference is that Darkstalkers features many monster-themed characters. It's an interesting game to play as well. Mixing more pixelated characters with detailed backgrounds creates a unique art style, setting it apart from other fighters at the time. This game also adds EX moves, special moves that you can do after building up a certain amount of EX bars. I played Anacaris throughout most of this, but eventually I got tired of him. I did find this cool vampire character about halfway through though. His name is Dimitri, and he's my new favorite character. I beat the game with him and couldn't read this because it was covered up by an achievement. Nice one, Xbox. Darkstalkers 3 is the final game in the series, which was a surprise for me. These are good games, but they just never made another one. For this game, I turned up the turbo setting. It's way better this way. I prefer faster paced fighting. I also played as Dimitri from the beginning of this time. Unlike the previous game, which used a round system, similar to Street Fighter, this one removes that and goes in the direction of giving each character 2 health bars. This game also has more detailed backgrounds, which can be seen best in the Lord Raptor stage. The train is far more detailed than the characters on it. This time the last character you fight is Morrigan. At least I got to see the text this time before Xbox blocked it with an achievement. Street Fighter Alpha 3 is a really great game. It's a prequel to Street Fighter 2, but it introduces lots of new techniques and cool moves, such as the new super combos. They aren't really combos, they're just more powerful versions of your normal special moves. You can also perform super combo finishes, which is when you defeat your opponent using a super combo. Quick tip for fighting Vega. The second his glove is knocked off, guard it.
Parker, help! Get over here, she can't hold it much longer, let's go.
You've just forced him into being more offensive than he has to be, in order to get his glove back. Another cool thing they added to this game is that it says cheap when you win a round, using mostly projectiles. And Bison is back in this game. He's even more difficult this time due to the fact that he has a character-specific super combo that deals tons of damage. After many tries, I finally beat him. I'm not even gonna pretend that I like this game. It's the worst Street Fighter game by far. One of my main complaints about this game is that it's way too easy. I didn't even try until I fought Akuma. This dude was difficult. I lost a bunch of times. He was a huge step up from the easy fights leading up to him. But eventually, I beat him. Finally. Bro, are you serious? Then this happened.
He has been chosen.
Mortal Kombat is a fighting game that came out in the year 1992. It was a game that changed video games forever. The excessive amounts of gore and violence angered many parents. This led to the creation of the ESRB rating system, a system designed as a way to show exactly what age range a video game is appropriate for. A main difference you'll see in this game that sets it apart from other fighters is that the characters in Mortal Kombat weren't actually drawn by any artist. All of the main characters and the final boss were all real people. They used motion capture to put them into the game. The only character that wasn't an actor is Goro. They used a stop motion puppet instead. The stages are all drawn, of course. The highly detailed backgrounds create a nice contrast between the stage and the characters on it. The biggest thing that sets this apart from other fighters is the inclusion of fatalities. Fatalities are moves you can do only after defeating an opponent.
Sub-Zero win. Fatality.
On top of normal fatalities, there are also stage fatalities. You can only perform stage fatalities at certain spots on certain stages. A cool thing about this game is the endurance matches. In these matches, you have to battle 2 people back to back. There's also Test Your Might, a mini game in which you break different things. Quick tip, when playing against Goro, utilize your jump kick. It's his biggest weakness. Another thing, when you're fighting Shang Tsung, do not slide. No trip attack will work against him in his normal form. Don't forget to jump kick him when he turns into Goro.
Sony sub score Luke Raiden Kano Johnny Sony sub score Luke Raiden.
This is the hardest fighting game I've ever beaten. Way harder than Street Fighter 2. This game is a huge improvement over the first one. New fatalities,
Reptile wins. Flawless victory. Fatality.
stage fatalities,
Baraka wins. Fatality.
and new finishing moves like babalities and friendships.
Reptile. Sub-Zero wins. Flawless victory. Friendship. Friendship?
They also added new characters, like Baraka. This game has 3 bosses, instead of 2 like the last one. The first being Shang Tsung. After him you fight Kintaro. Shao Kahn is the final boss in this game. He's pretty difficult, and he does a lot of damage. Every time he beats you, he insults you.
You weak, pathetic fool.
Sometimes he'll stop to taunt you in the middle of a fight. That's his biggest weakness because you can hit him while he taunts you. Use every move you can to win the game.
No. No.
Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 is an expanded version of the third Mortal Kombat game. It's also my favorite Mortal Kombat game. It added features like running and animalities. I'm sure we all knew what animal Reptile would be. Shang Tsung is back in this one, but he's just a regular character now, not a boss.
Hey, yo, the pizza here. Oh, nigga!
Endurance matches make a return in this game, after not being included in MK2. This game, like the first Mortal Kombat, has 2 bosses. The first is Motaro. Don't use any projectiles on him because they'll be reflected. Instead, do jump kicks on him like how I fought Goro. Shao Kahn returns as the final boss of this game. He has a few extra moves, like his upward shoulder charge, but he's a little easier than he was in MK2. Quick tip, when he's getting up, throw an ice ball. If you time it right, he'll be frozen before he can do anything. This opens him up to being uppercutted or comboed. He's also still very powerful, so try to avoid his attacks. Good luck beating this one, if you try. Killer Instinct is a fighting game from 1994. It was made by a company named Rare and published by Midway, the publishers of the early Mortal Kombat games. Rare's most well-known games are on the N64, games like Banjo-Kazooie and GoldenEye. However, this was their first original fighter. The final boss of this game is a two-headed Cyclops named Idol. You're going to want to try to be less aggressive and more defensive when fighting this boss. The sequel to Killer Instinct is pretty much what you'd expect. New characters like Maya, new stages, and a new boss, as well as the return of knockoffs. Moves you can perform against a player with one hit left in their life bar. It's basically a stage fatality. The final boss in this game is Gargos. I don't think you'll need help against him. He's much easier to defeat than Idol. Killer Instinct Gold is an N64 port of the second Killer Instinct. It has a few differences. The camera angles are different, they're more elevated, and also the animations aren't as complex. Other than that, I'd say it's pretty much the same game. Marvel Superheroes is a Marvel Comics fighting game created by Capcom. It features many characters from the comics that were popular in the 90s. The game has many different unique moves, Infinity Combos being one of them. Infinity Combos are very similar to the Super Combos from Street Fighter Alpha. They deal massive amounts of damage, but you have to have enough meter to use them. Another thing in this game is the inclusion of Infinity Gems. 6 powerful gems, each one having its own unique properties. Power Gem increases damage, Time Gem increases movement speed, Reality Gem makes it so that each time you press a button, it will fire a random projectile, Space Gem gives you super armor, Mind Gem refills your meter over time, and Soul Gem refills your health over time. The final boss of this game is Thanos. When you fight him, he'll take all of the gems from you, and you aren't able to take them back. Quick tip, stay close to Thanos. Most of the Infinity Gems he can use create projectiles, so he can't really do much when he's close to you. Then all you have to do is keep him there so he can't back up. A good move to use is Repulsor Blast, because it'll bring him closer, making Iron Man the perfect counter to Thanos.
Superior attack.
Marvel vs. Capcom is the greatest fighting game series ever created. Fun characters, iconic stages, great music, and gameplay that's just as fun for beginners as it is for people who've mastered the games. It brings in a ton of characters from both Marvel and Capcom, along with hyper combos. If you defeat an opponent with a hyper combo, it'll display it as a hyper combo finish. You can also call in assist characters. They'll do a quick attack and then retreat. Onslaught is the final boss of this game. If you can block his attacks well enough, he's pretty easy. Got him! Nice. I hate you, Capcom. Quick tip. You're going to use mostly air attacks against him in his final form. Ryu and Venom have the best air attacks in the game.
We want to eat your brain.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is the greatest fighting game of all time. It expands on everything that the first game did. You can even choose 3 fighters in this game instead of 2 like the first game. 33 Marvel characters and 33 Capcom characters for a total of 66 playable characters. 3D stages mixed with 2D sprites gives this game a super original art style and makes it really cool to look at. In this game you can call in an assist character as much as you want, but now they're your teammates. You can hit your opponent's assist character to damage them before they retreat. You can also use a snapback move that switches your opponent's character, but it costs 1 bar of meter. The boss in this game is Abyss. He starts in a suit of armor. Once you destroy the armor, you'll see his true form. Quick tip. If you play Servbot, all of his normal attacks in this form will miss you. That way, you can use as many moves as you'd like and build up a lot of meter easily. After that, you fight this thing. He has 3 forms, more than any other boss on this list. The last form is the hardest one to beat. But if you play a character with projectiles, Cable being the easiest one, you can shoot as much as you'd like and find where he is by firing randomly in any direction. Once you find him, use your Hyper Viper. It'll do a ton of damage when combined with his pistol and his normal Viper. Once you do all of that, he's pretty easy to defeat.
Open up for now.
Okay, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, or even learned something. Don't expect the second part anytime soon. It will come out eventually, but maybe wait a month. Trust me, I'll be working on it. Anyways, see you in the next video.